Good morning. Welcome to Morning at NTV. My name is Malaki Vilodera. Now on the Kickstarter segment, as usual, we're taking stock on the big story that you have been reacting to the most. And of course, the big story has been Bobi Wine's return. And so in studios, I have Mr. Ofono Opondo, who is the government spokesperson. He's also the executive director of the Uganda Media Center. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you. Good morning, Mala, and our viewers.
Good morning. I also am joined by the usual suspect, Mr. Dr. Kakungulu Mayambala. Thank you so much, political analyst.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for making time. Yesterday, we saw heavy deployment of security along the Kampala-Entebbe highway. After that, of course, at around 3:30 p.m., Bobi Wine touched down and he was whisked away by security officials all the way to his home in Magere. Why was the public refused? Why did you refuse the public to be able to welcome their supporter, their leader, in a good way? Why was that happening, Mr. Ofono?
Well, first of all, there are precedents we have had previously where particularly political leaders, when under the guise of returning and having their supporters receive them, they turn public spaces into chaotic scenes, destroy property, inconvenience others. Entebbe Road is the only gateway we have into Kampala and into our international airport, where many, if every traveler to Entebbe and out of Entebbe was asking to be received or accompanied by just 10 people, nobody would reach Entebbe Airport, nobody would come here. Secondly, in this particular case, there had been anecdotes where people had threatened to paralyze the city, and therefore the deployment was necessary as a deterrent measure. And police did well 3 days earlier to issue guidelines that public procession assemblies will not be accepted. Honorable Bobi Wine, when he returns, will be accompanied to his home. We are glad that in spite of the bravado he was making on social media before he returned at Entebbe, he easily complied. We want to thank him for easily complying with the police, with the police directives, because we are 40 million Ugandans. If each of us was to defy the police, where would the country be? Let
me ask you, most of the times we've seen different leaders, different influencers, of course, being allowed to having the public welcome them from the airport all the way to Kampala. It has happened before, even when Gaetano, and people have been saying this, when Gaetano returned from Big Brother, he's not a politician, he's just a big person in entertainment, but he was allowed such processions to actually welcome him. Then in this time round, and I'm just giving you feedback from what you've been receiving from the citizens, what they were asking is, why then, if you had intelligence information that some groups of the youth wanted to disrupt peace, why then couldn't the police deal with them and just offer security for the public who are able to get to Entebbe Kampala Road to just welcome the leaders?
I just want to find out any person who wanted to go to Entebbe or move from Entebbe to Kampala who was not able to make their journeys because there was a deployment. Now, it is better to nip in the bud than have violence erupt and then try to deal with the consequences. Gaetano, yes, he was received. I don't think Gaetano mobilized his supporters for purposes of disruption. Gaetano's was, you can almost say, spontaneous. And so I think the two shouldn't be compared. I think we can compare this one of Bobi Wine to that perhaps of Mr. Kizabesije, to that of former mayor here, Nasa Sebagana, and others, that who are calculated to be disruptive, to make peaceful and governance generally difficult, because they have said so, that their intent for so-called people power is to make governance difficult, to bring the government and the country to a standstill. And therefore, it is better to neutralize them before they cause disruption and destruction to other people.
Okay. Mr. Kakungulu Mayambala, in your view, the heavy security deployment that we saw yesterday, and of course this time around the police changed tact. They are not just armed with guns, but they also were armed with sticks. Your view on that?
In this particular case, the police deployed and other security agencies, they could have allowed Honorable Bobi Wine to make a procession, but that was not allowed. And I think the deployment was necessary to create and offer law and order in this kind of situation, to avoid the chaos, because as you saw on the highway, even the traders had closed their shops, so they were worried in that case, because if you have closed your shop, fine, you are not making any sales, but even somebody can break into your shop if the security is not there.
So it was necessary for the deployment?
Yes, so it was necessary in that case.
Mr. Ofono, let me ask you, as we can see, the police were now attacking, actually the security detail was attacking the supporters of Bobi Wine on the road. These people are seemingly peaceful, seemingly just supporting the person in peace without erupting any kind of chaos. So why did we see this happen?
I don't know. It is good you're using the word seemingly.
Yes.
As you can see, that clip could be edited as well.
Edited?
Edited, yes. I'm not sure if they want to show the genesis of the provocation. Thirdly, those people were not by the roadside, as you can see. They were not standing by the roadside. They were not in their homes. They were in the public space. They were on the public road. They were on the public road.
They were on the side of the road?
No, they were on public road. And therefore, you don't converge on public road and make movement difficult for me, who is on my other business. Don't
you think the government is infringing on the freedom of expression and the freedom of association of its citizens?
Before you accuse the government of infringing, ask yourself, are you exercising your right with responsibility? Are you taking the necessary obligation placed on you as an individual, that when you're enjoying your right, you don't inconvenience me, you don't inconvenience my business, you don't threaten my survival? If all of us could do that, there would be no reason for the police to be anywhere near you. The police hasn't been, we are here challenging government. The police hasn't been to this studio. The army hasn't been to this studio. Even when you're in the public road, our law requires notify, comply. You notify and you comply. In other jurisdictions, let us go to other jurisdictions where we want to copy unfettered freedoms. Usually they ask you, the leaders of the organization, of the procession, approximate for us how many people you think will attend your function. Give us the different layers of leaders so that we shall hold you responsible should you fail to live up to your promises. In our country, our leaders usually want to do assembly, want to do procession, but they don't want to comply with those regulations. And I think it is unfortunate. If we want to move as a democracy, peaceful democracy, law-abiding citizen, to make our country attractive, first of all to our own businesses, but also to other people in the world who have money and they want to bring here, we must be disciplined.
Okay, of course we'll give credit to the security detail yesterday and the government at that in extension for allowing Bobi Wine to address his supporters at Magere, at his home. Of course, he did mention that he's still gonna be strong for his push for change. In terms of that, and also now that we know that he's free on bail, what should we be expecting in terms of that relationship between him and the government?
First of all, Bobi Wine is an MP, but even if he was not an MP, he's a Ugandan. He's free to address Ugandans, first of all, in his constituency, but also around the country, peacefully. That is a given.
So he's allowed to address...
Even today, if Mr. Bobi Wine wants to address his constituency, anywhere, he's free to go and address his constituency, as long as they do not cause trouble.
And does he have to inform the police before that?
Public gatherings in our country, for a member of parliament, parliament is in session, he doesn't have to inform the police, he doesn't have to get permission from the police, but it is good manners, it is courteous to let the police know that I'm a leader, I am in this area. And therefore, that's one limb. The second limb, Mr. Bobi Wine was granted bail. There were terms to that bail. One would ordinarily expect, as a responsible person, you should try as much as possible to live by the terms of the bail. If there are some restrictions on the terms of the bail, which is uncomfortable with, he can ask his lawyers or himself can go to court and appeal so that the bail terms are reviewed. We have just seen Honorable Kasiani Wadri. You remember? His bail term was that he shouldn't reach his constituency in Arua for 90 days.
Correct.
Yesterday or the other day, his lawyer went to court. That has now been reviewed. He has now been allowed to go to Arua. That's what we expect of a civilized democracy.
So what you're saying is, if Bobi Wine is to come out and be vocal again, because he said he will be steadfast, the government will not interfere.
Yes. First of all, Bobi Wine is making ado about nothing, because you see, if you say you have come from the ghetto, you became a local pop star, you become a national leader, you have now become an international figure, surely this can't, and you have been nurtured by this, in this environment, you cannot say that 100% this system is so bad. It has given you space to show your potential. We would want not just Bobi Wine, but all Ugandans, and specifically youths, to be more vigorous in challenging the government. We want everybody to be vigilant, to challenge the government. If it is excesses, if it is failures, we want Ugandans to challenge the government.
Okay.
But peacefully, in a legal forum, in debates like this, we want our democracy to be very vibrant.
Our democracy to be very vibrant, sir. Of course, let me bring you in on this one before we touch base with the chairperson of Kasita, Mr. Kakungulu Mayambala. He said that the government is free and open to a vibrant democracy. People are allowed to actually express themselves. But that has not been the case over the past few days in terms of freedom of expression. And you'll agree with me, sir. Of course, we've seen people being tortured, people being gagged, especially with the media as well. So what do you have to say with regards to what Mr. Ofono had to say?
Yes, I think what Mr. Ofono has said is you have to put it in context, because what has been happening, like yesterday, what we saw, there were some instances of just like the civilians who had gathered, how the security officials went in and beat some of them, but this again was not as excessive as has been the case. But the players within the field have to be scrutinized. Like yesterday, Honorable Bobi Wine complied with the police instructions, and that one avoided a clash between him and the security, and also his supporters. Like you saw when the military officials told them to go away, they ran away. But if they had decided to put up a confrontation, then injuries and maybe death would have been witnessed. So in my view, I think there is need to have restraint and discipline on both sides. On both sides. Yes.
Okay.
And I just want to say, where government officials, in this case security officials, make operational mistakes, we want to admit that those shouldn't have happened. After each of the operations, we conduct reviews with the hope, first of all, to discipline errant officers, but secondly, to improve future engagements.
Okay. I do have Mr. Everest Kayondo on call with me. He's the chairperson of Kasita. Good morning, sir.
Hello.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm okay.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. My question to you would be, what are the traders saying? We've been in touch with them, of course, since August to now, and they're crying foul. Their businesses, they're not sure if they'll be able to run business as usual, especially with the current, beg your pardon, climate of political affairs in the country. So in terms of the politics affecting business, how is it on ground, and how exactly are you able to paint a picture for us on how bad this has affected businesses and traders in totality?
Yeah, well, whenever we have a business program like pay or employment, we usually have in the 200 away when heavy deployment, wherever they are done, and especially when they are possession, usually just police and they go to the nation, there was no problem.
Mm-hmm.
We remember one time, Honorable Sun, when he decided to walk back to the president until the nation. There was no place there was perfect. But I remember whenever out employment, the police start in the air, they got very, they start to have been to and that is the live banging and telling we will move out. This is where I will have focus, this is where I will lose it, and they become electric. So what we advise, the way this handles, the way to handle the people, the civilians, I think I the section, how the size of the business company, what we are, well, the perspective, people can do actually drive that's what you want to see. I think there was enough clearly creating a protection and the specific way other than seeing and thinking and that you put it into
okay, sir. Okay, sir. In terms of the heavy police deployment, especially what we saw yesterday morning, even in downtown, how has this affected business? Because we talked to some of the customers, and many people were shying away from getting to downtown. What are the traders saying with regards to this?
No, the movement as soon as they will just now they continue, but they won't pass. That's one. Police people you get to people people will start transacting the guns and maybe you will have several people from what I've seen in previous you know they are beating and shooting therefore so that's very good.
Okay, thank you so much, sir, for joining us. Thank you so much for your views. We truly appreciate them. Have yourself a blessed day. Mr. Ofonopondo, moving forward, of course, we've seen that this security deployment is even affecting business.
No.
Customers are shying away from getting there. I know it's a matter of ensuring that there's peace and tranquility in the city, but how best can this be controlled moving forward?
I disagree with their framing that heavy deployment, traders cry foul. There's deployment around the country. There's no part of Uganda, no town in this country where there are no policemen. Why is business moving? After this show, I dare you, just go to Kawempe, where we have, because of the recent spate of murders, where the president directed extra security deployment. You will go there and you will see UPDF soldiers crisscrossing and you will see the market booming.
But let me ask
No.
Yes.
So, first of all, I disagree with the framing. People are not closing shops because policemen and soldiers are patrolling, because policemen and soldiers have not molested a trader, they have not broken into their shops, they have not stolen their merchandise. People are worried about the clash, the possible clash between rioters, demonstrators, and security forces. So, if we want the public, the people who intend to protest, who have grievances with the government, must make their intent known, that they don't intend to be rioters, indisciplined.
But let me ask you, sir, are we likely to see this deployment on a day-to-day basis? Are we going to turn into a military state? That is the question that people are asking.
First of all, the president has announced that because of the spate of murders, where we have not yet zeroed on motives and who's the next target, there will be extra security deployment.
Every day?
So we are going to see heavier security deployments, not for dealing with riotous crowd, but for searching criminals and stopping them. Therefore, we expect the heavy deployment. However, I think it's the job of the security services to engage proactively with the public that this deployment is meant for their good. Let
me ask you, Mr. Kakungulu Mayambala, this heavy deployment of security details in the city, of course, even yourself, we've been having these conversations with the public, and what they're saying is, even me as a customer, if I want to go downtown, I now cannot go, because I feel like there's this tension with this security deployment in town. What do you have to say with regards to this? And in the flip side, what options are there for government to take to still maintain security, to still perform their tasks in terms of intelligence, but ensure that the economy runs as usual and people don't feel tensed in their own city?
Yes, thank you. This is a very interesting scenario because even like at Makerere University, whenever there is intelligence information coming in that the students are about to demonstrate, the security deploys. Now, when the security deploys, the people, or even in downtown, the traders, when the security deploys, that's okay. The Ugandans don't fear the security, they don't fear the military, they don't fear the police. But what happens is that once the security deploys, and then the opposition or other groups are threatening that maybe they are going to demonstrate, then those who are not into demonstrating generally fear the chaos and decide to keep away. So that's the worry. So in that kind of situation, the traders lose their sales because these who are going to demonstrate are not customers. The security are also not customers.
Correct.
So the customers who were going to come don't come. Now the way forward would be how, one, to make sure that the political tensions are resolved. Then two, the security can also decrease. They can try to do undercover security, deploy plainclothes officials, such that the situation is not tensed up. Otherwise, if it is tensed up, genuinely a mother, a pregnant lady, and the vulnerable groups, or those who don't like chaos, will not come into an area where they clearly anticipate that chaos is going to break out. Because if a bullet is fired, it can hit you.
Correct.
If they do tear gas, then you will also be affected, even if you are not a demonstrator.
Mr. Ofona Opondo, as we come to a close, you're a journalist, and I'm sure you hear the voices of the citizens and the people who are down there, and people are seemingly disgruntled, frustrated by how government is running and operating currently. Do you think there's an importance for the government to have an open baraza with its citizens and listen to them keenly and heed to their cries? Your take on that?
First of all, we have formal government institutions elected to listen and bring the views of the people into the various platforms. We could start with the LC1, LC3, LC5 councils, parliament. We expect that those representatives we elected to come to those bodies should bring the genuine feeling of the people, but also look for solutions. The grievances, Yes, there are genuine grievances, but there are also people who are taking advantage. The genuine grievances of lack of opportunity, for example, either business opportunity, employment opportunity, study opportunity.
Corruption.
Those are genuine grievances. The feeling that the government is not as responsive, as frugal in using public resources, in delivering public services, those are genuine grievances that the government must address, is addressing. Maybe is addressing, maybe not as fast as we want. On the issue of, for example, employment, before we came to the show, I said the most sure way to address the issue of youth unemployment, first of all, is to have total stability, tranquility, so that we can expand our production base.
Okay, but a baraza or not? Because what we've been hearing, especially now that we always have our man on ground, Omuntu Wawansi, Andrew Chamagero, what they're saying is, if only government can invite us to an open discussion with them, because seemingly it seems like these agencies are not communicating effectively to the government. So a baraza or not?
Well, first of all, even a baraza, you will not reach everybody. I think we have an opportunity, particularly in today's media platforms, media terrain. We have an opportunity using the media we are using now to reach out to the people more cheaply. If the government and all leaders were proactive, but we are also developmental, we would be able to use the media to reach the people easily and massively. Secondly, the President of Uganda, you have seen the many engagements. Each engagement of the President, I don't think you have seen a single meeting where the President goes and simply talks over the heads of people. Usually he listens and he makes well calculated and balanced responses. We would think that even if only 50% of the leadership in this country was doing half what the President is engaging in, I think many of those concerns, even if we don't get the solutions, we would give people hope. Okay.
Mr. Kakungulu Mayamba, a baraza or not, will it solve the issues of frustrations for the citizens in a nutshell?
Yeah, if we have a baraza with the government, I think in this situation, the citizens can raise their concerns, government can respond to them directly, even the opposition, they can negotiate. So I think for me, Mr. Opondo and government, I think you should be open to this idea. You'll have direct contact, and then you can negotiate with the citizens and the opposition and you as government on what areas you can agree on. Even comforting the youth, for example, on what programs you are coming up with will help them not to join other groups who may be even promising them actually hot air.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Ofono Opondo, government spokesperson and also the executive director of the Uganda Media Center. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much. Kakungulu Mayambala Daktari, political analyst. Thank you so much for joining us. That has been the discussion on Morning at NTV Kickstarter segment. Of course, keep your views coming. The hashtag is Morning at NTV. That's on Twitter. You can also stream us live and drop in your comments. NTV Uganda, that's on Facebook and YouTube pages. Keep it here. Morning at NTV still continues.